What is up, heroes? This is Midnight Zero, and welcome to a team building for week 2 of the SFL. This week we are going up against Austin, coach of the Virginia Volcaronas, and easily, in my opinion, coach of the best team in this entire league. Just wait until you see what mons this guy has on his team. It's incredible, and honestly, this might be one of the most difficult battles of the league. So, I hope you're hyped. But anyways, the first mon he's bringing, or the first mon he could bring rather, is Mega Diancie, recently unbanned, and what a threat is this thing. Look at those stats, that incredible attack, special attack, solid speed tier, and incredible defenses too. Like, that's some solid bulk, despite the low HP stat. In addition to a great move pool with stuff like Moonblast, Diamond Storm, Earth Power, Hidden Power, Fire, and one of the biggest benefactors of the increase or the buff to Megas in Generation 7, where the speed activates before the turn. So you don't have to run Protect essentially to get your Mega Evolution off. So this thing's a monster. This thing is a threat. And in combination with another mon that's going to be tested with this league, Darkrai, normally an Uber's monster that runs Dark Void, but with the recent Dark Void nerf, we were considering, well, Sam was rather, considering testing this thing in the Counter League format to see if it could be well prepped for, if it was going to lose a lot of functionality, a lot of use without Dark Void as integral to its set. But still, this thing's got a monstrous special attack speed, and it hits such a solid speed tier, in addition to a great move pool, and a lot of opportunities to set up with something like Nasty Plot, and then just hit everything hard. So, man, is this thing scary. And then the third OU mon he has is Silvally. Look at this thing. It might look kind of derpy at first, to be honest, but multi-type. What's it called? The RMS system. It can change its typing based on whatever item it's given. And I don't know what typing he's going to bring to each match. How crazy is that? How ridiculous is that? I honestly think that's kind of broken and a little bit too versatile for the league format. But hey, we'll find out. And that's why this league exists, to experiment. It's got, great move pool as well. It's got decent bulk, decent attack stats on the physical and the special side for everything. Solid speed tier. It's a good mon, and it adds a ton of unpredictability, and it can patch a lot of holes because of that ability. And then moving on, we've got Zarina, easily one of, in my opinion, the better mons of this recent generation. It was put in UU. I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest. It's got a solid attack stat in addition to a really cool stab move called Trop Kick, which lowers the opponent's attack stat by 1. And why is that important? Because it has some decent bulk too, almost 100 in defense and special defense with an okay HP stat. In addition to solid support moves like Light Screen, Reflect, and Rapid Spin. It can hit really hard with that attack stat. Adamant, Choice Band, High Jump Kicks, Trop Kicks. It's a bit of a monster. And honestly, I think it's a little bit higher than UU, but we'll see. We got to prep for it nonetheless. Next mon, Gyarados. A classic. It's always been pretty solid. It's got really good bulk with a decent HP stat and SPDEF stat. It can run, bulky Rest Talk with Thunder Wave, and maybe Waterfall or Scald. It's also got a solid attack stat and access to something like Moxie. And it can be a Scarf Sweeper even. It can be a Banded Sweeper. It can be a Dragon Dance Sweeper. It can also be a physical wall because of its ability to Intimidate. So this thing is really good. It's also a ground immunity, and one of its main weaknesses, obviously, it's 4 times weak to electric. So we'll have to try and take advantage of that. Next mon, we got Lucario. Lucario reminds me a lot of Infernape, to be honest. It reminds me a lot of Infernape because it runs that physical or special versatile role. It's got solid attack and special attack, but even more importantly, it's got solid move pools for both, including Bullet Punch, Extreme Speed, Close Combat, Iron Tail, Flash Cannon, Aura Sphere, Nasty Plot, and Swords Dance. So this thing can run one of 2 sets, in both of which it does really well. So this thing is scary. Next mon, we got is Yuxi, which is not very scary from an offensive standpoint, but this thing is bulky. Look at those defense and special defense stats. It's, Psychic, Levitated, Ground Immunity, and it's a really good status spreader and a rock setter. So you might see it with Stealth Rock, see it with T-Wave or Yawn, and it's also helpful for momentum. It a lot of times runs U-turn as well, so it's a really good Stealth Rocker in that you can get up your rocks and then gain momentum by tanking a hit with a slow U-turn and then, bringing in something strong and offensive. Next up, we got Magneton. Now, I personally am really used to Magneton because I had it in the co-op league that just happened. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out. But Magneton is really cool. From a defensive standpoint, you can smack an Eviolite on it and it takes hits really well. It can be used to Magnet Pull to trap steel types. It can run a Scarf set to be a fast Volt Switcher. It can run Specs Analytic, which hits so hard. Modest Analytic Choice Specs Magneton. Holy cow, switch-ins do not exist. Especially for, really hard-hitting Flash Cannons, Volt Switches, Thunderbolts. This thing's a monster. Now, we got Talonflame. Yes, Talonflame is this low because of the Gale Wings nerf. Talonflame was put this low. If you don't know, Gale Wings is the ability that makes it so Talonflame's flying type moves were given priority +1. However, in Gen 7, that is only the case when Talonflame is at full health, and this nerf was apparently large enough to put it in RU. I don't know if I agree with it or not, but regardless, Talonflame is on Austin's team, and it poses a threat defensively, especially defensively. Its stats don't look so hot, but its move pool with Bulk Up, SD, Will-O-Wisp, Acrobatics, Brave Bird, Roost, U-Turn, Flare Blitz. It's got a lot of options. It can hit hard physically. It can hit hard especially with Overheat. It can run a Taunt Stall Breaker set. It's, versatility, which is what I think is key to having a good league team. Next up, we got Golurk. This thing hits hard. That's about it. And it's hard. It's got access to No Guard. It uses Dynamic Punch. It's got Shadow Punch, Earthquake, 2 great stab types. It's just slow. It can also be a Stealth Rocker, but I hate dealing with confusion from Dynamic Punch. Then he's got Miltank. Miltank, just look at this thing, shaking its udders everywhere. It's bulky with a surprisingly strong offensive presence. It's got Recovery and Milk Drink. It's a Stealth Rock Setter, T-Waver. And beyond that, it doesn't really do too much. It's got a solid speed tier though, so it typically outspeeds and can hit harder against other bulkier mons. And then Muck, regular Muck of course, not a Alolan Muck, at least I don't think, which isn't too great to be honest. It's got solid bulk and Spadef in its HP. It's got some solid defense too. Its attack stat is not something to laugh at all. But its pretty weakness, or it's got a big weakness to ground and psychic, and those are common types and they're common coverage moves on a lot of mons, and Muck is really slow, so it oftentimes gets hit by those moves before it can really do too much. In addition to Poison not being such a great offensive typing, it really hits fairies hard, which is important, but outside of that, it's got plenty of resists, and yeah, it's kind of outclassed by Alolan Muck in my opinion. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we got Zweilous, or Zweilous, I'm not 100% sure. You can run a Choice Band on this thing. It's got Hustle, so its inaccurate moves are doing a ton of damage. This thing actually hits really hard, even despite its weak attack stat. It can also run a Violite, of course, but, Hydreigon's a threat because of its physical move pool, its special move pool, Zweilous, all the same. And so, to counter this team, man, I was so demoralized at first. His team is so good. He's got such a great balance between physically offensive, physically defensive, especially offensive, especially defensive player or Pokemon that can run both on the physical side or the special side, both offensively or defensively. He's got some great Stealth Rock setters. He's got some great speed tiers. He hits really fast speeds with Darkrai, Mega Diancie, and then he hits really slow tiers with Magneton and he can go for, Volt Switches. He's got a couple setup sweepers with Nasty Plot Darkrai, Dragon Dance Gyarados. He's got some great Scarf users like Zarina, or Band users like Zarina. So, honestly, there's so much that Austin can bring to this match that is incredibly threatening. So it took a while for me to come up with this team, and it took a lot of hard thought too. And especially working with a team that I'm not super comfortable with the playstyle, well, let's hop into the team and I can start explaining. So first of all, we've got Xurkitree. We're running, you can see the EVs in the upper right corner with the nature, the moveset in the lower right with the item next to the name. Now, I actually really like Calm Mind Xurkitree, but when I first chose Xurkitree, I looked at his team and I was like, he doesn't have a lot that can take on Xurkitree. Yes, if something outspeeds it, it can hit it pretty hard and beat it, but even something like Magneton gets to it KO'd by Thunderbolt, unless it's, more defensively invested. And I also wanted something that can just hit his mons hard. especially mons like Zarina as well, Mega Diancie, Darkrai, and he'll probably be expecting a Scarf Circuitry, as is like everyone who plays against the Circuitry. But the idea here is 240 speed EVs and a timid nature to outspeed everything but Silvally and above. So I outspeed everything on his team except for Mega Diancie, Darkrai, Silvally, and I think there's probably one more mon that I'm forgetting about. Miltank, if it's a fast mon. So I outspeed all of those, and I at least get a really hard hit off. And I can potentially get my Beast Boost. This could be a late game sweeper if I get rid of those faster mons, and believe me, I do have plans to get rid of those faster mons. And based on what coverage moves he's running on Mega Diancie, though I expect him to be running Earth Power, if he is not, I tank any one hit Mega Diancie goes for, and Energy Ball does a minimum of 100%. So we OHKO that. Also, Earth Power does around 104 to 115 or so percent, and so that means after a Calm Mind, I live one. So on the switch in to Diancie, I can Calm Mind, and then I live any one hit, and I definitely KO with Energy Ball, which is really important because Mega Diancie poses such a huge threat. Thunderbolt at +1 KOs Darkrai, Thunderbolt obviously KOs Gyarados. Also, when you look at his team, you'll notice that Zarina, resists Energy Ball and Thunderbolt, but at +1 it gets 2-hit KO'd by Signal Beam. Before then, 3-hit KO. Obviously, on a Calm Mind, if I Calm Mind on the switch into Zarina, that'll help a lot with that. I also take 2 hits, and part of that is because of the HP and defense investment I have. The special attack I have is all I really need to pick up certain KOs at +1, like Magneton to a KO or the Energy Ball KO on Mega Diancie. But outside of that, I don't really need any more special attack, so the extra HP allows me to hit another leftovers number so that my recovery is optimized. And so that as I'm, taking out mons, each time I switch in, on the switch I get, a Calm Mind boost, and then I kill a mon and I get that extra 6%. And if I outspeed something, it basically helps me overall take a couple hits there, because Silvally could outspeed me and hit me on the physical side, Darkrai could hit me on the special side, Mega Diancie could hit me on either side, and I figured rather than running Assault Vest or running more defense investment, I figured leftovers with potentially a Calm Mind was overall the best set. Signal Beam also helps out with Yuxi a lot, which otherwise can tank my hits pretty well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Signal Beam also helps with Zweilous, and Thunderbolt 2 KOs Muck at +1, which is pretty cool. And in general, we take about 1 hit. So this mon, at the very least, can usually take 1 mon down and then heavily dent something else. Moving on to the next mon, we've got Mega Metagross, which is probably not a surprise. When you look at his team, you see Mega Diancie, and you immediately think, I need something with priority, I need something with steel, and we are running an adamant max attack Mega Metagross with Bullet Punch. As you might expect, Bullet Punch OHKOs Mega Diancie, which is really important because I want to have everything on my team pretty much to have an answer to Mega Diancie, because that thing is scary. That thing is so scary. But basically, Meteor Mash is there to hit everything hard. It hits Zarina really hard, it hits Silvally really hard, it hits Darkrai really hard, it obviously hits Mega Diancie hard. Gyarados, it does not hit hard, and that's why we have Thunder Punch, because Gyarados makes it a pretty nice switch in to Mega Metagross unless it has Thunder Punch. And at -1, we do a minimum of 100% or 104% to an offensive Gyarados. So I imagine, well, we outspeed. So if he wants to switch in, 2 Thunder Punches will KO even the most defensive of Gyarados. We have Hammer Arm to hit his fighting types, potentially Darkrai, although that would have to be on the switch in because we definitely get bodied by a Dark Pulse from Darkrai. But to hit Lucario, rather than Zen Headbutt, which is inaccurate, we also have Hammer Arm for Magneton, we have Hammer Arm for Miltank, and we have Hammer Arm for Zweilous as well. So that hits all of them, and the speed drop is, less than ideal, but I'd rather take the accuracy and the overall better coverage rather than have something like Zen Headbutt, which he has a couple mons that are immune to it. And then, yeah, Bullet Punch could be used to, get a little chip damage later on. We have enough speed, because we're adamant. I didn't want to risk the speed tie with Mega Diancie and go for something like Meteor Mash on a potential Earth Power. I just didn't even want to play around with that. So I took the extra speed, and we outspeed everything we outspeed Silvally and everything slower. So the only mons we don't outspeed are Mega Diancie, Darkrai, and Talonflame. That's what the other one that was really fast was. Talonflame. And Thunder Punch will hit that hard too. If he wants to Roost Stall us, we beat it 1v1 with Hammer Arm. So, yeah. And then, of course, 8 HP EVs just help out with a little bit of bulk because we didn't need all of the speed that we had. Alright, so the next mon, we got Tapu Fini. Now, I am so excited to use this Tapu Fini because it actually does so well. We tank any hit from Mega Diancie, and we do so much back with Surf. And what's really cool is Mega Diancie hits really hard. It hits so hard. So hard that, in fact, I actually need Protect in order to beat it 1v1 with Tapu Fini. On the first turn against Mega Diancie, I can Calm Mind and then Protect, and then with leftovers, I will live. Sorry about the interruption, but yeah, Tapu Fini helps me beat Mega Diancie 1v1. We take on to Moonblast. We'll be at +1 in special attack and special defense for when we do beat it with Surf. And yeah, Protect will help us get just a little bit of recovery against a lot of mons, especially like Darkrai. We can see if it's running Thunderbolt or Thunder. We actually take a Thunder. We actually take a Thunder at +1 and KO back with Moonblast, which is really cool. Because we're so defensive, we actually take a lot of hits from Silvally as well, even Zarina, and can put some damage on that with Moonblast, which is really nice. Also, if it's running High Jump Kick, we run Protect. Obviously, I don't think he would go for High Jump Kick against the Tapu Fini, but maybe if he's trying to read really hard. Against Gyarados, we actually beat that pretty solidly 1v1 with Moonblast, especially because we can Calm Mind up. If we Calm Mind up beforehand, we tank hits. We actually take an Iron Tail from Lucario and hit it really hard back with Moonblast. We even take Thunderbolts from Specs Magneton at +1 and KO back with Surf, which is like super cool. This is one of the few things I can actually hit Golurk hard with. And yeah, this is also a solid Talonflame counter. So Tapu Fini does surprisingly well in my sort of comfort playstyle, which is like take a hit and then dish out some damage and boost up / heal up alongside. So yeah, Tapu Fini I'm pretty excited to use, and I do think Tapu Fini and Mega Metagross make a solid core. I can potentially have Mega Metagross take a hit and switch in on, anticipated Thunderbolt or even a Grass Knot or something of the like if, he's running some sort of heat move on one of his mons that I might want to scout for. And so yeah, from here, the next mon is Infernape. Now, Infernape. I love this set so much. This is such a counter team format set. When you look at it, it's got close combat because it hits hard. It hits really hard, and it KOs Darkrai, it could KO Silvally, it KOs Lucario, it KOs Magneton, it KOs Miltank. It does a lot, and Mach Punch does a lot of damage, or does a decent amount of damage to certain things like Mega Diancie, Darkrai as well. But really, there's a lot more depth to this mon than first meets the eye. So first of all, item, Focus Sash. So we're living any one hit. And why is this important? Because I can bring this as a solid lead against any of his OU mons. So if he leads with Mega Diancie, or brings in Mega Diancie on my Infernape, knowing that it resists, or it doesn't take a lot from fighting, and it resists my Fire type stab, and it might Magic Bounce back my Stealth Rock, which, lead Infernape tends to have. What I can do is I can hit and Power Steel, take any one hit, get down to my Focus Sash, and then go for Mach Punch. And because of my attack and special attack investment, I do know that my Jolly Nature decreased my special attack, but I needed to have the speed increasing nature to outspeed certain things like Darkrai, like Silvally. And yeah, HP Steel into Mach Punch does a minimum of 100% to Diancie, which is so nice. Actually, it does a little over 100. I calced it so that it was at least 100, and then I had some EVs left over, so I just threw them into attack to potentially do more with the Mach Punch as a last-ditch effort. But yeah, so that's why HP Steel is there. And it's such a heat move. I really hope I get the chance to use it. But also, if he brings Darkrai, he can Nasty Plot up. He can do whatever he wants. He can hit me, and I'll close combat him and bring him down to his Focus Sash. He also might, up against me, have a Sash Darkrai of his own. Nasty Plot anticipating, you know, the close combat, and then anticipate being able to kill me afterwards, but I'll have Mach Punch to KO him, which is really nice. Also, after I get hit and brought down to my Focus Sash, I'll be at 1 HP, and I'll outspeed almost everything on his team, which means, at the very least, I get an Endeavor off and bring something down to 1 HP. I was looking for moves like Gunk Shot, etc. to hit stuff like Gyarados. I was looking at Thunder Punch to hit Gyarados. I was looking at Gunk Shot for Zarina. I was thinking about a bunch of different types of moves, and I couldn't quite get the coverage I wanted. I couldn't quite get the damage I wanted, and then I was like, wait a minute, Endeavor, I can bring anything I want down to 1 HP, and if they don't have priority, so if they try to switch him on my Infernape, I can Endeavor and then Mach Punch and automatically KO it. How cool is that? So I'm really excited to use this Infernape. It's kind of like a suicide Infernape where I definitely want to bring one down, at least one Mon down with me, and then, you know, bring another Mon down to 1 HP. And set up for a potential sweep. It'll make it easier for Xurkitree to get its Beast Boost, which is really cool, and it might force a switch if he wants to save a really important Mon to his team. But yeah, so I'm really excited for this Infernape. And then at this point, I'm like, I still need hazards, and I still need a little bit of special bulk. Or like more dedicated special bulk, I guess. So the next Mon I'm bringing is Drapion, and it's not the super specially bulky set I brought last time. I was considering that at first, but I wanted more offensive presence. I wanted something that could hit Golurk really hard. I wanted something that could hit Mega Diancie hard. I wanted something that could hit Zarina really hard. And I wanted something that could hit Uxie really hard, because amongst the previous Mons, I didn't have anything that could dedicate it, in a really dedicated way, to try and take those Mons down. So Drapion made perfect sense. It's Dark Poison type, you know, stabs for a lot of those Mons that I mentioned before. It's also got Earthquake to potentially hit Mega Diancie really hard, and Lucario really hard. Also Muck really hard. It can SD on just about... like most of his Mons on a potential switch if he wants to save something, and then hit something super hard with Knockoff. Also, he might not be anticipating the Shuca Berry, so I actually take an Earth Power from Mega Diancie and KO it with Earthquake at +2. That could also set up for some other Mons. And yeah, the Shuca Berry will help. Potentially an Earthquake from Gyarados, potentially an Earthquake from Silvally, because I never know what to expect from that. It also helps me take on Golurk, which is really important, because he can anticipate taking a knockoff and then KOing me with Earthquake, but I can actually SD and then live the Earthquake and then KO him with knockoff. And yeah, that's pretty much why Drapion is here. It outspeeds just about everything. It speed ties with Silvally and outspeeds everything below that. And then lastly, Diancie. Yes, we're going to have Diancie versus Mega Diancie. I wanted some special defense. So Sassy is plus special defense minus speed. We still have, you know, some really solid defensive stats in addition to special defense. You know, the HP is, you know, the weak point. And I wanted to get up Stealth Rocker. I wanted something that could also get up Stealth Rocks against Mega Diancie. So regular Diancie actually beats Mega Diancie 1v1 with Earth Power. We 2-hit KO him with Earth Power, but he does not 2-hit KO us with Earth Power, even if he's modest, which is really cool actually, because we have leftovers and so much Spadef. Investment. We hit a lot of things hard with Moonblast. This is a solid counter to Darkrai unless he's running HP Steel. This even does a decent amount of damage to Zarina, and if we go for Diamond Storm and get the boost, which in Gen 7 is +2 to defense, there's a 50% chance of that, we actually take that thing on 1v1, which is really cool. Same goes for like Gyarados. We do need to watch out for BP and Iron Tail from Lucario, but I'm not really planning on taking Lucario on with this Diancie. We also need to watch out for something like Magneton, which could get a solid switch in, but we have Earth Power, so we can kind of make him think twice about trying to switch in Magneton on us. And yeah, that's kind of this thing's function. It can tank a hit, can take on Zweilous really well if he decides to bring that. It's a dedicated Talonflame counter as well. It beats Uxie 1v1 because we do have a decent special attack stat. It's base 100. And that's just about the team. Like I said in the beginning, Austin's team is scary. It's so scary. It's so balanced. And it can really manifest itself in a lot of different forms. This team I have here is, you know, the best I could think of. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know, of course. If you would have done it differently, I will. You know, I did put a ton of thought into this. I ran a ton of calcs, and I do think this is a really solid team for him. Again, it is very offensive with only like a couple relatively bulky Mons, so it is going to require an aggressive play style. and it's going to be trying for me. It's definitely going to be trying for me. I know Austin is really good. I also know he's really eager to beat me. In TGFA Season 2, he was the very first person I played, and I beat him, and I haven't played him since. And I know he's improved, and I know he's eager to prove himself. So I don't know. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be a tough match, but it's going to be a good one. So I hope you guys are excited to check it out tomorrow. And yeah, if you're excited, leave a like. If you're excited, let me know in the comments. Let me know that you're cheering for me. It'll be nice to have you guys behind me for the battle. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the battle. But until then, this has been Midnight Zero, and this mission is complete.